Welcome to the podcast for and about Colorado Springs. I'm your host, Brittany Felix, and every Monday through Friday I'll be talking about a different aspect relating to the Springs, including upcoming events, restaurant reviews, local business spotlights, media coverage about the Springs, public works projects, local activities, answering your questions about the city, and much, much more. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss any of the updates. And also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find links to all of those social media accounts at springspodcast.com/social media. The Colorado Springs podcast is proudly sponsored by Elevation Hydration. Elevation Hydration is the only hydration therapy clinic serving Colorado Springs, and they are dedicated to helping you elevate your life. They use intravenous vitamin therapy to help athletes needing a boost of energy or help recovering after a tough competition, people experiencing cold-like symptoms or dehydration from the flu, anyone needing to recover quickly from a rough night out. I'm looking at you, college kids. And just anyone wanting a healthy alternative to preventative care. They have a wide variety of hydration packages to help address whatever your needs are. They're conveniently located inside Lush Beauty Lounge at 812 Village Center Drive, and if you mention this podcast during your visit, you'll receive $10 off any hydration package. To learn more about Elevation Hydration or to schedule an appointment, visit springspodcast.com/hydrate. Welcome to episode 38 of the Colorado Springs podcast. Today I am going to be talking about the top 10 things to do in Colorado Springs, according to TripAdvisor, that is. Now, if you are a local or at least a long-time resident, you probably know about all of these and have visited most of them, if not all of them. However, one of the things that tends to happen when you grow up in a city or you live there for a long, long period of time, you tend to ignore the fact that the touristy things can actually be very fun and really informative. And so places that all the tourists go to, the locals sometimes never think to visit. So there might actually be some things on here that you have never done, and maybe this will be the push to finally try these places out. And again, some of these are going to be extremely obvious in places that we have all been to and things that we have all done. But this is mostly for the people who are just visiting the city or considering moving here or have just moved here and are looking for the top things to do to maximize their time. So to start off, of course, we have Garden of the Gods in the number 1 spot, which is not surprising. I have mentioned it multiple times on this show. It is the exact reason that my husband and I fell in love with this city on our first visit here back in 2015. And when we went back home to Indiana the year following, we kind of just kept having thoughts of, man, wouldn't it be amazing to be able to just go out to Garden of the Gods every day after work and walk around for a little while? Or just head over there on the weekend and spend the whole day walking around and hiking. And I can say that, yes, we have done those things since we have lived here. And one of the major perks of Garden of the Gods, of course, is the fact that it is free. So again, if you're on vacation or have just recently moved here, it's a nice thing to do to help keep some money in your wallet when you might be on a bit of a budget. One of the downsides, actually really probably the only downside, is the fact that it is number 1 on the list of things to do in Colorado Springs, meaning the place is always packed. So it's very difficult to find a parking spot, especially during peak hours and on peak days. So if you can go on a weekday, that is much better, but be prepared to maybe not be able to find a spot when you go and maybe have to make a couple of laps through the parking lot or through the park itself to find some street parking. However, once you do find that spot, it is well worth the effort to hike around and just enjoy the gorgeous views, especially considering you have Pikes Peak as your backdrop. And then, of course, there is also the Visitor and Nature Center that goes along with it, which is also free and has a wonderful observation deck to overlook the park and Pikes Peak. And speaking of Pikes Peak, that actually comes in at number 2 on the list. It has over 4,300 reviews and a 4.5-star rating on TripAdvisor. And for those who don't know, who are just visiting and haven't really done any research before you got here, the amazing thing about Pikes Peak is that it's over 14,000 feet tall, and you can actually drive all the way up to the summit, weather permitting, of course. It is a 19-mile trip when you can make it all the way up to the summit, and I think generally they close it around mile 13 usually whenever the weather gets too bad up top. However, if you can make it up to the top, it is again well worth the trip. If you take your time going up, which a lot of people do because it is a somewhat nerve-wracking drive part of the way, it takes generally about an hour if you go leisurely and kind of explore some of the side areas and stop at some of the overlooks. And again, that is one way, so don't be deceived by the fact that it says it's only 19 miles. It will still take you a while. So I would devote at least half a day to make the trip out to the mountain and then up the mountain and leave yourself plenty of time to look around while you're up top and then make your way back down. Now, it is not free to make this drive, so you will want to check on the pricing information. It does vary depending on what time of the year you are there. And I should mention that I will have a link in the show notes to this top 10 list where you can get more information on each of these attractions. And I will explain where you can find those show notes at the end of the episode. Number 3 on the list of top 10 things to do in Colorado Springs is the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo. And we just moved here in September. We did go for the electric safari, which was amazing. I absolutely loved it. I love the zoo, I love Christmas lights, and I love the mountains. So it was a perfect combination for me. But I have to say I am supremely excited to head back once spring and summer hits to really check out the zoo and all of the animals and the wonderful exhibits that they have. Again, Cheyenne Mountain Zoo has the word mountain in it for a reason. It is literally built into the side of Cheyenne Mountain. So be prepared to do some walking and do some walking uphill. Number 4 is the United States Air Force Academy. And I have to be honest, I don't really know anything about this. The description on TripAdvisor says visitors can tour this modern, sprawling campus that includes the academy, Falcon Stadium, a chapel, an Arnold Hall, and a museum honoring Air Force personnel. It does have almost 2,000 reviews and a 4.5-star rating on TripAdvisor, so it appears to be well worth the time. And coming in at number 5 on the list is the National Museum of World War II Aviation. It has a little over 500 reviews and a 5-star rating. So if you are into old airplanes and war memorabilia and history, you should definitely check this out. And number 6 on the list is Red Rock Canyon Open Space, which, again, does not surprise me. I'm actually honestly surprised it's not higher on the list. This is probably my second favorite place to go next to Garden of the Gods. It has over 700 reviews and a 4.5-star rating, and it is a wonderful place for hikers and cyclists and rock climbers. And I should mention it's also a wonderful place for people with dogs. There are always a ton of dogs out there. So I guess I should say it's a good place if you have a dog-friendly and people-friendly dog. And coming in at number 7 is the North Cheyenne Canyon Park and Starsmore Discovery Center, with almost 300 reviews and a 4.5-star rating. It looks like it's another great place to spend some time outdoors in the Colorado Springs region. This is not a place that we have been to yet, but it is now on my list. And another place that I don't know that I would have ever thought to go to at any point, but maybe it is worth checking out, is the Olympic Training Center, and it comes in at number 8, with almost 1,000 reviews and a 4.5-star rating. The description says the Colorado Springs Olympic Training Center is home to Olympic hopefuls in various sport disciplines. Take the guided walking tour and see the facilities in which the athletes train as they aspire to be a part of Team USA in the upcoming Olympic Games. And coming in at number 9, I am positive I will not pronounce this right, but it is the Glen Erie Castle, and it has 362 reviews and a 4.5-star rating. Now, one thing you probably don't know about me is that I am obsessed with castles. I love castles. So this has been on my list to visit for a little while now, and we have to eventually make our way there. The description says it's nestled on 750 breathtaking acres with 97 lodging rooms. The stunning beauty and rich spiritual heritage creates a place where, for a few sacred moments, guests can set aside their troubles and catch their breath. The staff ministers by thoughtfully creating experiences which set the stage for all to discover, explore, and be transformed. Whether guests come with a group for a retreat, individually for a program or conference, or for historical teas, tours, or overnight stays, it serves as a sanctuary and a safe haven of transformation and inspiration. And finally on the list, we have Helen Hunt Falls coming in at number 10 with 534 reviews and a 4.5-star rating. Helen Hunt Falls was actually one of the first places we visited once we officially moved here, and being the non-in-shape person that I am, it did kick my butt, but it was absolutely fun and completely worth the effort to make it to the falls. Again, if you would like to learn more about any of these attractions that I've mentioned here, just go to the show notes on my website, and you can find those at springspodcast.com/038. And of course, those are the actual numbers, 038. And I will have a link to this top 10 list so that you can go right to it and get more information on each individual item. That is going to wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I want to invite you to come back tomorrow for this week's restaurant review. Have a fantastic day.